Welcome to Extraordinary Ability with your host, Candice Ackermann. Every episode celebrates foreign nationals with extraordinary abilities who qualify for O1, EB1, NIW visas. Learn how you may qualify, especially if you have been denied other U.S. visas. You can find this show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on www.visalawpros.com. Now here's the host of Extraordinary Ability, Candice Ackermann.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of Extraordinary Ability. I'm Candice Ackermann. I'm founder and managing attorney of visalawpros.com. And today I'm delighted to introduce Kez Christie, who is joining us on episode 5. Kez, otherwise known as Kez for short. Please tell us where you are from and what is the area of your extraordinary ability.
My name is Kez. I'm from originally Dublin, Ireland, and my area of expertise is boxing coaching and boxing fitness.
So I just want people to take note of that she is a female professional boxer, which is very out of the box. Sorry for the terrible pun, but that's why I was really happy to have her on the show, because I find that really cool that she's female and a professional boxer. I don't meet many of those kinds of people every day. So for me, this is a lot of fun. And for those, just to tap into a little bit of the technical side of O1s, which is what we got for Kez. There's O1A and O1B, and they're two different categories. O1A is for people with extraordinary ability in business, athletics, science, or education. And O1B is for people who have prominence or extraordinary ability in the arts. So given that Kez is an athlete, we secured an O1A visa for her, which has slightly different elements to show that she qualifies than O1B. That you've won awards in your field, you're a member of associations, there's published articles, media attention written about you or on you. So Kez, can you share with us a little bit about, how were we able to prove that you qualified? What were some of your achievements in your field that you had already garnered prior to reaching out to me to see how we could get you a visa to work and live in the US?
Making me float back about 8-9 years now. I know at the time I was still fighting. Obviously, I'm retired now. So I had competed in, national tournaments, won national tournaments. I was working in a gym as well that was at the time like Ireland's only pro boxing gym. So we had like a lot of press and a lot of kind of attention on us. And I was kind of lucky to be involved in that, just good timing. And then also I went on to become Ireland's first licensed professional boxing coach. It was a bit of a tongue twister, that one. So those kind of three things together really helped me stand out.
Can you share for the viewers why it was an achievement that you got licensure as a boxer and boxing coach in Ireland?
Yeah, at the time there was no other females in that. There's definitely, just to say this, there's pro fighters before me, like 2 or 3 females before me, and there's also coaches before me. In the amateur world, there was no female boxing coaches in the pro world, and that's kind of what stood out. Is I took that leap and it was a very male-dominated kind of world, but under the guidance of my coach and my former employer, we secured that. So that stood out a lot.
And what inspired you, notwithstanding that there was nobody else before you? What inspired you to go down that path, or why did you feel that this was something that was achievable for you if you didn't have a predecessor role model before you doing this?
Yeah, I think I just knew. Sometimes I have a tattoo on my hand that says like reckless abandon. Sorry, I can't show you there. Reckless abandon, which just kind of means like you do things just thinking of like what can go right, and you don't really think about what can go wrong. You don't let that concern you. And I just knew, like in my heart, I was like, I loved boxing, like loved it. But there comes a time where you're like, right, I'm just getting beaten up every day here. I wasn't an exceptional fighter. I wish I got my visa based on being like world class level fighter, but I was a better coach. So that's what kind of drew me to coaching. Was I knew I loved it. I knew I was passionate about it, and I knew I loved the sport. And I was like, right, I'm more. I just gravitated towards coaching anytime I was in the gym while I was fighting, and I don't know, just kind of it just made sense, and not seeing someone already there didn't really, like I said, reckless abandon. It didn't concern me. Sometimes it might even like light a bit of a fire under me to to be the first. So
You brought up an interesting point from the point of view of filing O1 cases, and this is something that people encounter not that infrequently, which is to say that you have to show that you have extraordinary ability in the exact genre in which you are coming to the United States to undertake or perform or work in. And so USCIS can really pick on that. In other words, if you were extraordinary as an athlete and you're not coming to the US to compete, then you will get a request for evidence and you will get hit and maybe denied for a case where you're not threading the needle exactly, aligning your previous achievements with the genre of your future work. So it's important that you shared that we were able to demonstrate that you had extraordinary ability, that you could meet at least 3 out of 6 of the components as a coach because you were intending to come to the United States as a coach. So anyone who's interested in future applications, store that in your memory bank, that you might be multi-talented, but you have to show that you meet the criteria in the area in which you're actually coming to the United States to work in, perform in, etc. So tell us a little bit about now, if you will, what your experience was like working with Visa Law Pros, with me. How did you then suddenly think, oh, I want to come and work in the United States? How was that seed planted? And how did you find your way to me?
Well, first off, I always tell everyone Candice is a magician. You really are. And I always tell you, you changed my life. I would not be here in America, now a citizen, had I not crossed paths with you. Because, like you just mentioned, we initially started, I gave you everything, and it was talking about me as the boxer. And I did hit that initial kind of RFE denial, and they were like, no. And that's where we were like, I need that coaching like license to really say, because my job offering was not to come here and compete. It was to come and work in a well-renowned gym as a coach. So it's funny you mentioned that, because that was a huge part of it. So my experience in working with you guys was, you made it like super clear along the way. You never kind of kept me in the dark. And I know, hand on heart, there was some, like, they were like, not, like you said, they can really pick on you. They picked on me with that. And I feel like, again, I haven't worked with a million different lawyers, but like, some might be like, oh, you know what? Didn't work. See you later. But you were like, no, nah, that's not cool. No, give me more, Kez. We're going deeper on this. And I think it's cool, as a boxer, you've got a coach in your corner. And I couldn't have had anyone better in my corner who like stuck up for me and was like, nah, we're not throwing in this towel. Like, and because my visa took 18 months all in, which is a long time and can be disheartening, but that time is going to pass anyway. And, I had the best person for the job helping me out. So my experience with you guys was, like I say, every time I see you, like, you're a magician and you changed my life.
Thank you so much for that.
Ramble over. So
thank you. No, but you brought up an important point too, which is this is one of the rare cases where I did recommend that we refile. Yeah. Another technical pointer is that refiling can often be faster than trying to file an appeal, because there's an indefinite amount of time that it can take to appeal a case. And also when you appeal, they just re-adjudicate only the evidence that you supplied at the time of filing. On a refile, you can submit new evidence and explain, if you want, why you're submitting different evidence, or just go ahead and do that. And I think in the interim, I suggested that while you had media attention on you as a boxer, let's spend some time and double back and see if we can get any articles or media attention on you written that describes the chronology of your career as a coach specifically. And that is what we did. That's why it took a little bit of time to reach out to some people, some of your connections who were curious and interested to publish articles about you, which you are allowed to do. You know, I mean, you have the credential and they were willing to write articles, and there were subsequent ones published. And then we did a refile, and that was successful. And I was equally as thrilled for you as you have described here for all the viewers. Also, share with us, you know, what opportunities did you have offered to you in the United States that, you know, made you curious to pursue the visa process, albeit the lengthy one, but successful on refile in your case. Tell everyone what opportunities were waiting for you if and when we were finally successful for you.
So I just came to California like the very first time in America on like a holiday visa. California is obviously a good destination for that. And at the time I was still competing as a boxer, and I was any town I'd hit, I'd be like, right, I want a gym to train at. And this is kind of a mad story. I'll try to keep it short because I can't really tell short stories. But I bumped into Box and Burn, which is now the gym I co-own, and I bumped into my future business partners, Kevin Watson and Tony Jeffries. So Kevin is an American guy, hugely credentialed in like fitness and strength and conditioning, and then Tony is our mutual friend. He is an English Olympic boxer, won a medal at the Olympics. So basically I went back to Ireland, and I had emailed them. Again, something reckless abandon in me just said, I need to go and live and work there. Like that's where I want to be, teaching boxing in Los Angeles. So I, for a year, I saved up, and I started like an online kind of like just like friendship with the two gym owners. And I said, hey guys, I was there in the summer. I love what you do. I'm going to come back out next year. I would love to like hang around the gym, train, and like maybe talk about a job one day. Again, just taking a wild stab in the dark with that. And they were both super polite and cool. Like, yeah, like, you know, always welcome. Good to see you when you were here. We look forward to seeing you in a year. And in the meantime, I just saved up, fought as much as I could, went back to like college and got certifications. And then I flew out a year later, and I literally said, can I have a job? And Tony goes, all right. And you know Tony. And I was like, what? And then again, no clue what a visa process looked like. I knew I needed one, but I was like, yeah, I'll figure that out. Like, you know. And then this is what I did. I Googled it, and I printed off a form you would file. I was like, Tony, I just need you to sign this and you give me a job. He's like, yeah, cool. He goes, you know what? You should use the woman that did my green cards. And I was like, yeah, cool. And then your name pops into the conversation. So I email you, we start talking, and now looking back, I'm laughing at like how much I didn't know, which is probably better because I scare people off. But like when people are like trying to move here and they're telling me like, do you have to hire a lawyer? I'm like, it's worth more than money can pay. Like they take the headache, they know the loopholes, they know the stuff you're up against, which is people with a stack on their desk that might not be having a good day, sort of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, like
I call that person, I used to call them donut man. Now I call them gender neutral donut person. Those are the people who are reading the applications in 20 minutes that, you know, it takes me 40 hours to prepare, two degrees, one advanced degree, one Ivy League degree, and gender neutral donut person reads it in 20 minutes. Yes, go ahead.
I vaguely remember you emailing that, like, I was laughing. But like, if you wanted to box, you wouldn't just like go to a boxing gym and punch. You'd be like, I should probably pay someone that knows. So pay someone that knows because they can change your life, you know. So, but then so yeah, we started our visa approach. Took 18 months, and in that whole 18-month window, Tony and Kevin kept their words, kept my job position there for me. So after 18 months of stress, I got to move to Los Angeles and start a whole new life, start a whole new journey. So
amazing. And just to reiterate, the common tie was Tony Jeffries, who won an Olympic medal for boxing in the Beijing Olympics. And he was also a client of mine. I did try to get him on this podcast today, this episode, but given that he's in Thailand with a wife and several children, and it's past 11 p.m. there, he was unable to make it. But I'm going to try to put a link on the bottom of this episode, because he did a whole episode on his YouTube channel, which has, I think, a couple million followers now, about his green card process to the US. So if we can hunt that down, we'll try to link his podcast episode about his story connected to yours, because I do remember, I didn't even know he was doing that, but once he did it, I got a lot of people contacting me, which was pretty fun. He was on the podcast game way earlier than I am, but better late than never, I say. So tell everyone in Facebook land and the viewers on YouTube who are going to join us later once this drops, about some of the things that you did go on to do for Box and Burn or elsewhere. Were you still competing in the US as an athlete, or did you limit your activities to coaching? You know, did that take up all of your time? Or tell us what you did once you finally planted your feet on LA soil.
Yeah. Well, as a fighter, you know, you're retired, but you never, like, in your head, you're like, will I come out of retirement? Anyway, my focus was, right, new job. I need to make a great impression, and I want to, like, hit the ground running. So obviously the job was my focus. And fighting's always in the back of your mind, but I actually got, like, overwhelmed with all the things you can't prepare for when you move countries, which is like, oh, now you're a brand new baby, no credit, no driver's license, no, like, built up, like, good driving skill. Like, you basically have to start from scratch, and you don't realize what you need to do till someone tells you, hey, you haven't done this yet. So you kind of, there's a few surprises along the way. You can try prepare, like, right, let me get Social Security, let me get a driver's license, but there's kind of like a few little things on the way that you don't know is coming. So between work and that, like, there was no time for fighting. And then, yeah, the longer you don't fight, the harder it is to get back in that excellent shape you got to be in to fight. But yeah, my main focus was gym, and again, I was always more of a coach than I was a fighter. So I came in and I started. Obviously, I was trying to support myself as well in a pricey city. So I worked every hour on the front desk. I worked any class I could teach. I didn't have clientele yet for, like, one-to-one training where you get to earn a little bit more money. So I was just trying to build up my name, my reputation, and just honestly, without sounding corny, do whatever it took to, like, repay Kevin, Tony, like, the faith they put in me, the opportunity they gave me. So I was, like, all about the business, all about the gym, which fast forward, I like to think paid off when they trusted me to come in as now partner, co-owner of the gym.
Amazing.
And
we have to salute you on that. A round of applause. I didn't even know that.
Thank you.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you. It's a mad story to think. I always say to Tony, like, you know, I used to hound him with emails and like Facebook messages, like, I'm gonna come work for you one day, and he's like, sure, yeah, let me just reply to this, like, crazy girl. And then here we are, like, we're best friends, we're business partners. I know he's in Thailand, but he's still in the gym involved in the gym with myself and Kevin. And me and Kevin have just, like, a one-way tunnel vision to just world domination. We want to put a Box and Burn in every city, every town. So right now we're really working on, like, the business end of things.
How many gyms are there? How many Box and Burn locations are there? What do you imagine, the expansion to look like? And I know Tony does a lot of work on his YouTube channel. Do you guys have virtual classes? Plug for Box and Burn right now. Do you guys have virtual classes? You have free advertising here. Go ahead.
Right, so hold on. There's my t-shirt. We have a few things. COVID obviously put a halt on a lot of things, and we did have 2 gyms initially, and we were going for number 3. We had signed a lease right as COVID kind of hit, and then we got scaled back to 1. But in the meantime, we went online. We don't offer online classes anymore. We're more brick and mortar. That's what we love to do. But what we do is we have a licensing kind of section and a franchising section. So we actually license out our class and our gym and our brand to gyms all over the world. We have gyms in Texas. We have gyms in Chicago. We have gyms in Australia that are running our Box and Burn classes, that are legit Box and Burn classes.
Amazing.
They're not brick and mortar that look and say Box and Burn, but they have all rights to our classes, and they can say they run Box and Burn classes. And then the franchise model is more what we have in Santa Monica, Los Angeles right now, is our group fitness classes, our personal training, people coming in and out every day. We want to put one of them in every city as well. So like I've moved to Encino, which is in the valley. I'm trying to put one there. Kev's got his sights on, can't tell it, it's a big secret, putting another one here. So we'll have like up to 5 in the next kind of year to 2 years within like California. And then we're looking to partner with people that want to franchise us all over the world. So that's the plan.
Amazing.
So, yeah, we're busy. We're very busy with that.
That's excellent. And I'm glad to hear that things have kind of picked up during COVID. That was obviously a very hard time for everyone. And thank God we're sort of coming out of that now, at least with, the spread of the virus is mitigated somewhat. I think it's still out there, but people are slowly recovering. Last question, I guess, for you is you're an inspiration to me, to many people for a variety of reasons. What would you tell for people who are either aspiring athletes or existing sort of amateur athletes who, are dreaming of or thinking of coming and working and living in the United States, intimidated by the O1 process? What advice would you give to people who are maybe across the ocean or in other countries now, brainstorming or trying to figure out, how they could make their way over here? What advice would you give them?
That's a great question. And I do get people kind of comment on, like, when they hear my story, they'll say stuff. I'm going to try to give you a short quote and then a longer quote, right? Irish people can't tell short stories. Short one is, it has to happen to someone, so why not you? If you say it's not going to be me, it's not going to be you. If you say it's going to be me, now at least there's a chance it's going to be you. And it has to happen to someone. Why not you? That's the short one. Then the long one is, honestly, like, if you really knew me and knew my background and knew how I grew up, like more in a confidence way. I never thought I was never the best at anything. I always had to kind of work really hard to be level with my teammates. I didn't stand out in school. School teachers, if my business teacher knew I now ran a business, she'd laugh her head off and be like, nah, that's not the same person. Like, I didn't find a groove or feel kind of confident in any skill set I had. So if you feel like that, that doesn't mean that you don't have it. Like, if you're prepared to put in the work and not count yourself out, you'll be surprised how far you can go. And that's, honestly, I still tell myself that now. Like, there's days I'm like, I feel like I'm like almost an imposter. I'm like, I'm trying to do these things, and I'm like no, like, people that have the kind of goals I'm chasing, I'm like, they're special for A, B, C, D. Like, no, they're just normal people that believe in themselves, work hard, and just try push that way. Like it has to happen to someone, so why not you? So
100%.
yeah.
And yeah, I really like that, the both of those inspirational messages, the short one and the long one. And it just made me remember my late dad, who used to give me advice about careers. And
Yeah.
he would tell me, it doesn't really matter what you do, just find something that you really love to do and become an expert in it or become extraordinary. And I think maybe that's why I love the O1 cases so much, because it's very inspiring to speak to people who, whether they just have raw talent or they dedicated themselves to becoming extraordinary at something because they really loved it, and over time they just worked hard and rose the ranks, so to speak. It's just very inspiring to work and interact with those kind of people and tell their stories or be part of their stories. So I want to, with that, take the opportunity to thank you so very much for your time today, for being willing to come on the podcast and share your story, the story that we wrote together. And, hopefully you'll keep writing and keep growing from strength to strength in the US. And hopefully the gym will expand and you'll keep contributing your extraordinarily talent to and coach many, many others who will grow in their professional life and their personal life as well as a result of working with you. Thank you for sharing your story and for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me, Candice. And I look forward to the day you take a selfie at Box and Burn in New York. Right?
Done. Thank you so much, everyone. See you in 2 weeks.
You've been tuning into Extraordinary Ability with your host, Candice Ackermann. Learn how you may qualify for O1, EB1, NIW visas, especially if you have been denied other U.S. visas. Please visit www.visalawpros.com to contact us and for other episodes. Thank you for your positive feedback, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others.